This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. I'm Oisin Langan. In the background, you can hear the Cork City fans celebrate their 1-0 victory against Dundalk at Turner's Cross. We'll hear from the goalscorer, Cian Murphy. We'll also get the thoughts of Colin Healy and Stevie O'Donnell, the respective managers, and former Cork City fullback Neal Horgan breaks down where it went right for City and wrong for Dundalk. Shelbourne had a 2-1 victory against Sligo Rovers at Tolka Park. There was a freak own goal in that game. Mark Rossiter will tell us all about it. Drogheda losing 3-1 at home to St Patrick's Athletic, who are in a very good run of form. Paul Crowley, former Drogheda player, will talk to us about that match. Shamrock Rovers had a 3-0 victory against UCD. Macdara Ferris watched it for us, and we'll hear from him later. First, though, the meeting of the top two. Derry City taking on Bohemians at the Ryan McBride Brandywell. Both teams lost on Friday night. It didn't go well for the Candy Stripes, losing their second match in a row. Bohs with the 1-0 victory. To tell us how it happened, here's former Derry City player Gareth McGlynn.
Derry, in fairness to them, started the game very, very well, and the first 20 minutes was more like a basketball game, with both teams playing fluid, high-pressing football. And the first 20 minutes was all about the blocks. First of all, it was Boyce for Derry City, a last-minute block, and then it was Kasper Radowski who gave an incredible block for Bohs when it looked like Jamie McGonigal was going to score for Derry City. Cian Murphy then had the best chance of the first half. He had a free header from a Ben Doherty corner, but unfortunately for Derry, it just went past the post. Bohs then got in the act on the 43rd minute. They got a free kick that hit the wall, resulting in a corner, and then that corner resulted in their best chance of the match, where Horton heads just past the upright. There was a feisty start to the second half where Buckley hacked down Patrick McElhinney in the middle of the pitch, and it looked all the while to be a yellow card, but I think the referee, he wasn't going to give many yellow cards. He gave very, very few. His first, in fact, came shortly after that when Clark took down Boyce, and in fairness to the ref, he issued a yellow card pretty quickly. Then on 53rd minutes, Graydon robbed the ball in the centre circle and drove towards the centre halves of Bohemians. He slipped in Jamie McGonigal, who shot straight at Talbot. That was probably Derry's best chance from open play. On 59 minutes, Declan Devine had seen enough and made a double substitution, with Ben and Clark coming off and Baker and Flores coming on. Derry had a huge shout for a penalty on the 62nd minute when Doherty went down from a challenge on the byline. In fairness to the referee, he was right there. He quickly waved away, but the Derry bench were absolutely furious, and in fairness, I had a great view. I actually thought it was a penalty. But literally 2 minutes later, Twardick dashes into the corner and plays a lovely 1-2. But who else did he get tangled up with, which was Ben Doherty? He just got the wrong side of him, got tangled up and bundled Twardick over. The referee did not hesitate and pointed straight to the spot. Penalty to Bohs. Dean Williams steps up and does that stutter run-up that we're seeing so much more of in football. But in fairness to Mar, the Derry City goalkeeper, he doesn't fall for it. He stands on his feet, waits to see where Williams is going to pass it. Williams goes to the right, Mar guesses right, gets a good hand to it. Unfortunately, he can't keep it out and spills it straight up into the roof of the net. 1-0 to Bohs. Derry had a bit better the next 10 minutes, with Declan Devine making another double substitution. Declan knew that Derry were kind of wrestling the game from them, so he disrupted the play by making a double substitution. Dylan Conley and Aboli came on then from Williams and McDade. Derry then took off Patrick McElhinney, which had to be an injury. He was again Derry's best player on the night. I just hope this is not a long-term injury. He came off and Cian Kavanagh replaced O'Neill. McAniff replacing Patrick McElhinney. Bohs got a boost from the substitutes, and Twardick delivered a beautiful cross on the right, only for McDade to miss for a header from 8 yards. Then on the 83rd minute, Derry hit Bohs on the counter-attack, with O'Reilly intercepting the pass, releasing Cian Kavanagh, who in turn finds Jamie McGonigal, who goes to the edge of the box and fires an incredible shot just past Talbot. And Talbot, he didn't even look at it. He was rooted to the spot. If that's the other side of the post, it's a goal. Derry make their final change on the 84th minute when Brandon Kavanagh replaces Boyce. The crowd then start to get behind the home side to press for an equaliser. Ben Doherty continues his great attacking form for Derry. We've seen this all year on the left-hand side. He puts two beautiful crosses in from the left-hand side. But again, who was there but none other than my man of the match on the night? It's Pascal Radowski. He was an incredible. The Polish centre-half for Bohs is commanding, but what impressed me the most was his long-range passing. Very, very good player. The fourth official put up 6 minutes of injury time, and the home crowd are on their feet shouting Ruaidhri Higgins' team forward. Bohs then, in fairness to them, break away, and McDonald puts one past just Meyer's post at the end. And literally, injury time, the 6 minutes was so entertaining. It was end-to-end stuff, and the crowd could feel one last chance for Derry, and it arrived on the 94th minute. It was created by Brandon Kavanagh on the right-hand side. He put a beautiful cross in with his left foot, and it was one of those crosses in between the keeper and the centre-halves. All three of them miss it, and Cian Kavanagh arrives on the back stick, and it just looks like he's just going to tap it into the net, only for it just to miss him by a matter of inches. And that was that. Declan Devine will not care how controversial the penalty was. All he cares about is seeing his Bohs side go 6 clear at the top of the Premier Division.
Ex-Derry City player Gareth McGlynn reporting on Derry City's 1-0 defeat to Bohemians at the Ryan McBride Brandywell. Still to come, former Drogheda player Paul Crowley on Drogheda's 3-1 defeat to St. Pat's, and ex-Bohs player and of course former Dundalk player Mark Rossiter on Shelbourne's 2-1 victory at home to Sligo Rovers. Let's get more reaction though from the Ryan McBride Brandywell. Ruaidhri Higgins, the Derry manager, spoke to Drive 105 after the game. What did he make of the penalty decision and his team's performance? This is what he had to say.
Certainly a game we didn't deserve to lose, without doubt. Don't think Brian Maher's had a save to make in the game. The penalty's just not a penalty. I'm normally quite, I don't know what the right word is, but I'm normally quite fair to referees when I speak. That's not a penalty. If anything, the one before that on Ben Doherty's a penalty. And if you look at the last 4 home games, Sligo were with a goal, Dundalk, where one of their players blatantly should have been sent off for cynical fouling. Sligo, we had a goal disallowed that shouldn't have been disallowed. They evened it up last week by giving Cameron McDonald a second yellow that shouldn't have been a second yellow, and then Bohs have got a penalty tonight that shouldn't have been a penalty. Don't get me wrong, our home form hasn't been good enough, but there's dead and that's unacceptable tonight. That penalty shouldn't have been a penalty, and it sort of allows them to sit in and defend and whatever. But I think that them type of decisions are costing us too much at the minute, and don't get me wrong, we should be doing better at home in particular. But you can't deny the fact that it's hurting us a wee bit at the minute. I think the game was nip and tuck. They get a penalty out of the blue, and then you have to go and force the issue, and then they're hanging on. So naturally they're going to defend their box. Naturally we're going to put crosses in the box, and we had 3-4 good chances towards the end, and we certainly didn't deserve to lose the game. That's what I would say.
This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and that is Derry City manager Ruaidhri Higgins, who was unimpressed with some of the refereeing in their 1-0 defeat against Bohemians at the Ryan McBride Brandywell. We'll go through the table in a while, by the way. Let's move, though, to Turner's Cross, where Cork City had a 1-0 victory against Dundalk. If you listened to the podcast over the weekend, you'll know Colin Healy was not happy with his team following their 4-0 defeat to St. Pat's. Was he in a better mood after their victory against Dundalk? Let's find out.
Big performance. It was, especially after the performance on Friday night against Pats. We asked the players for a reaction, we got it. I thought they were brilliant tonight. We have to be like that every week. You know, it just shows you there that the players, they can do it, no problem. Listen, they set the standards, you know, they just maintain it. But they did, thought they were brilliant. Even young Joe with Marsh coming in tonight, just shows the quality that he has, and it's I thought everybody was brilliant. Even the subs came on, made a difference. So we were at it to the end. Fully deserved the 3 points.
Yeah, you restricted them, and you did no shot on target really, and that's hugely important.
We were solid, and that was right from the front, the middle of the park, solid at the back, and important. Keep a clean sheet, isn't it? So important. Brilliant to see Cian Murphy back in, getting a goal. We know what you're going to get from Murphy. It's he's honest, he's quick. He gets on to Keats, does brilliant for the header. He gets in, it's a great finish, and he's been through a tough time the last few months, from injury, and the work that he does, and we can see what he does around the training ground, and delighted for him to get the goal.
Cork City manager Colin Healy following their 1-0 victory against Dundalk. Joe O'Brien Whitmarsh making his debut for City. He's only 17. He turns 18, I think, next month. He played very, very well. Colin Healy was certainly impressed with him, as was everyone in Turner's Cross. Obviously, the danger is he turns 18 next month, so he could be off to England or maybe somewhere beyond. He's that good. And obviously, he's an international player at underage level. So he is a standout player. He is a really, really good talent. Right, let's get some more reaction from Turner's Cross. Let's start with Dundalk manager Stevie O'Donnell. After the game, he spoke to a few of us in the press, and it was put to him that their intensity wasn't where it needed to be in the first half.
I wouldn't agree with that. I thought it was a 30 mile an hour probably wind that helped them get the advantage. It's very hard playing against conditions and long throws, long balls. From an intensity point of view, I was quite happy with us. It's not an easy place to come, especially with the conditions the way they were with the first half. You could see with Nain's kickouts, the ball was coming back on top of us. But second half, I was disappointed in regard to how much we created. Thought it was, as the game first half was going on, I thought it was important to get in and level pegging, and we'd be just very disappointed with the goal we gave up. The circumstances of the goal, there seemed to be a mix-up in communication from one half of the pitch to the other, so that gave them the opportunity, and it was probably the only way they were going to score that, or a long throw or a set piece. So that's disappointing from our point of view, and obviously the last three results are very disappointing. So in football, in life, you're going to hit adversity. This is our spell. Probably at the minute, our confidence in that, we're probably doubting ourselves a little bit, from a little bit apprehensive, a little bit tentative, and we need to get that out of our game and really be on the front foot and really confident. But results can do that to you as well. So we've a young, inexperienced group, but there's only one way to meet it, and that's head on, and that's when we get back in and train on Wednesday. Look forward to the Derry game Sunday.
I know it's not to be all and end all, but when the wind was there in the first half, there's a shower of rain at half time and the wind goes in the second half, but nonetheless you made a few changes at the start of the second half, and they did have an influence and things did improve. You effectively dominated the second half. Yeah,
well, I thought we were always going to dominate the second half, to be honest. That's why it was so disappointing and frustrating to go behind. But even though we dominated the second half, we probably still chances wise didn't have loads of clear cuts, and bottom line is we need to start working the opposition keepers more, getting in more dangerous areas in regards balls in the box and making defenders and keepers work, and we're not doing that enough at the minute. So that's something from my point of view and the coaching staff point of view to have a look at and see how we rectify that, but I felt it was going to be a game where we were going to dominate from half time onwards. Just there's a little slope there and conditions, that wind was so strong in the first half, and the way they obviously go so direct was always going to lend itself to a lot of the game being played probably in our half of the pitch in the first half.
How much of your travails are about the injuries and the fact that you don't seem to be able to get them back together, and even sometimes when they do come back, they either pick up a knock or break down or suffer a relapse?
Yeah, I don't like making excuses. Ultimately, we sign good players. It's just we're doubting ourselves at the minute, from a personality point of view, and it's a new sort of environment for a lot of players. It's a new league, and there can be that, and that's where you need the winners, serial winners, the experienced ones from last year, to be there, and we've just been a little bit unfortunate in that regard. And as you said, Oisin, we'll get a couple back and maybe a couple others drop out or they suffer a setback. We just don't always seem to have the band back together, from an options point of view, but that's not an excuse. From an intensity and commitment point of view, I disagree. I thought we brought that today. as best we could. I thought it wasn't through a lack of effort or competitiveness that we lost the game. We gave up a really soft goal, and then second half we didn't work their keeper enough. That's pretty much it. Ray had 2 efforts close. Pat Hooban had an effort near the end. I thought we'd have shout for a penalty, push into John Martin's back and a cross, but we just didn't get enough crosses or bodies in the box for the amount of possession we have.
And what about the fact that the game against Derry now has been moved to Sunday? Is that a good thing, bad thing? Does it make any difference?
Probably not a bad thing. We have 6 days now to get ready for that game. But the flip side is that obviously your recovery will be a little bit shorter for the Shelburne game the following Friday. But it is what it is. We'll get ready, we'll prepare as best we can for the Derry game.
Cheers, Stephen. This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcasts, and we're in Turner's Cross, where I'm joined by Cian Murphy of Cork City. Cian, you scored the winning goal today in a 1-0 victory against Dundalk here at the Cross in front of nearly 4,000 spectators. First of all, how did that feel?
Yeah, look, it's absolutely amazing. Anytime you score in Turner's Cross, it's an unbelievably special feeling, and to get the winner here today with a great performance from everyone was just a really special feeling. Yeah. Talk me through the goal. Yeah, so I was just kind of told before the game, just kind of gamble off Keats up front, and that's what I did, and he won his header, and just ball came down to me, fell nicely, and I just tried to relax and just keep it down, and thankfully it went in. Is there a moment of panic when a ball comes to you like that? Or, well, panic is the wrong word, but is there a moment of, I hope I get this right, especially when you're in front of the shed end, which is a very supportive end, but also it can be intimidating? Yeah, absolutely. Look, plenty of them have went wrong for me, so look, I'm just thankful to I suppose I just compose myself a bit, and thankfully hit the back of the net. How big a win is this? How important a win is this? It's very important, to be fair, especially like over the last few weeks. Probably results haven't gone our way, but we'll take this with us now. We'll build confidence from it, but we won't get too high. We'll just try and keep going and try and keep it improving. And you reacted to Friday night's performance. Your manager wasn't pleased. He went public about it. He rarely does that. In fact, I don't think I'd ever heard him do it before. So you knew you had to react, and you did. Where did that reaction come from? Well, I suppose we just kind of had a chat with ourselves. We kind of had to look ourselves in the mirror, and we knew Friday night wasn't good enough. We weren't at it, and that's what you have to do. You have to react to those things. So that's what we did, and everybody went out and worked hard, and thankfully it paid off. Is that something that you said amongst yourselves, or is that something just everyone knew coming into tonight? It kind of didn't need to be said. It probably didn't need to be said, to be honest. We had that feeling around over the weekend. You obviously hate that feeling of going out and not playing well and losing by that much. It's not what we want, but we had a brilliant reaction tonight, and look, it's just we just need to kick on now from here. I spoke with Neal Horgan a while ago, and he said sometimes you do need to win ugly, and while the goal was beautifully taken, you did have to do all the tough stuff, and you did that tonight. How satisfying is that? Yeah, exactly. That's what we do well, though. We knew from First Division last year, when we go out, we work hard off the ball. The quality will come on the ball, and that's probably what we've been missing the last few weeks, but that's exactly what we did tonight, and we showed that we're well capable of getting results. You're not the only Tip lad in the squad, are you? There's a few, isn't there? Yeah, there's a few of us from Tip. Cian Murphy and Barry Coffey is there as well, so yeah, there's a nice little clan from us. Is that good to have a few local lads around you? Like they're from Tip, would you have known each other growing up? Are you in around the same age? I would have known Cian Murphy for a good few years. We played underage all the way up together, to be fair, and then once Barry joined, then you have that kind of connection anyway there from Tipperary. You would have known of him, so yeah, look, it's really good to have lads from home down with you as well, and it's a nice little group of us there. And not just the Tip lads, all you seem to be embracing this kind of Premier Division challenge. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we had a good start to the season. We slacked off there the last few weeks, but this will really help the confidence now and kick on now from here. Will you get a few Easter eggs in tonight now? I can't imagine you had them yesterday. Will you get the chance tonight? No, it's straight in for recovery now and get ready for Friday night. Cian Murphy, thanks very much for talking to the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Cheers, thank you. This is the ExtraTime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast, and we're in Turner's Cross in the aftermath of Cork City's 1-0 victory over Dundalk. Over 3,000 people here to see it, in fact closer to 4,000. Neal Horgan, formerly of Cork City. We've seen some great battles down the years between these two. This wasn't one of them,
but it was a great result for Cork City.
Yeah, it was a good battle, though, Oisin. It wasn't a lot of good football played, but it was a huge result for Cork City after losing 4-0 on Friday night. The crowd alone was great that they came back nearly 4,000 here. That wouldn't have happened when I was playing. If we lost 4-0 on a Friday, we'd probably have 1,000 people here. Something has changed in that regard. But the players responded. They fought for every tackle. I thought Aaron Bolger was outstanding throughout the game. Rory Keating was brilliant. But it was more, the manner of the victory was actually more important. And seeing out a 1-0 win, an ugly win, against Dundalk, Colin Healy would be delighted with that. What they needed was an ugly win, and they've got it, and it's 3 points, and a vital 3 points for this time in the year anyway.
More on Cork City in a moment, but what about Dundalk? They weren't great today. Why?
I don't know. I know they've kind of gone off the boil a little bit. They had that result against Rovers. They seem to start the year or the season well, and then kind of lost the run of themselves a bit. They're missing a few of their main players today, but they brought Hoban on in the end, kind of late on, trying to make a difference. They looked quite disjointed to me. I'd say Stephen O'Donnell will be very unhappy going home tonight. They didn't look like a team who would be threatening the top end of the league, quite honestly, and I'm surprised by that. I don't know why. Maybe it was an off night for them, but it seems like they've had a few off nights recently. So
let's concentrate on Cork City. You've outlined what you liked about them today, their battling qualities, their work rate. Do they need to evolve a bit more than that, though? Because a lot of it was kind of blood and thunder stuff, and it did today, but maybe they need to evolve throughout the season.
Yeah, I think the ugly stuff is the important stuff this year, Oisin, for Cork City. I don't think they're a team who are going to, outplay teams for the 90 minutes by any stretch of the imagination. They're lovely young players. Brian Whitmarsh came on, he's 17, and he started his first home debut, did very well. Other players came on and did well. I think they need to learn to win ugly games like this, and that's why Colin Healy will be delighted with this game. Better than winning 4-0 against UCD by a million miles, in my opinion, is winning 1-0 at home against a Dundalk team who we've had a rivalry with for a long period of time. They've got loads of experienced players, Oisin, as you know, even if whilst they're missing a good few. That was a huge victory tonight, and I think Colin will be delighted with the manner of it, in that we were ugly, there wasn't a lot of football played. You have to see it out. It's those kind of games that give you the greatest amount of satisfaction and greatest amount of confidence going forward, because even when you don't play well, you can still win. That's what it's all about.
Bolger, let's talk about him. You've mentioned him already. He's a bit of a linchpin, isn't he? He's very important for the City team.
Yeah, I think he is, and I would have had question marks early on in the year of all the players, but tonight he was excellent. He won tackles, he chased the goalkeeper down, he just that 50% extra, it felt like, from everyone, but he was the one who was kind of putting in as we know, he can both play and he can also make fantastic tackles, so he has a bit of both about him. I think he is important. They missed him after his head injury from Shamrock Rovers. He has that little bit of class about him, again, like Keating, a guy with experience in the Premier Division, now showing it for the team, and the younger lads need that. They need a few of the guys who played in the division before to come and show that bit of experience.
Colin Healy didn't hold back in his post-match interview on Friday night after St. Pat's. He wanted a reaction from his team. Now, it was dangerous, wasn't it, criticising his players publicly. He had never done it before. It does seem to have worked. The gamble, if it was one, has paid off.
Yeah, Colin's a very straight character, and he would protect his players generally, but to be fair, like, the truth is, you play with Cork City, you lose 4-0 away from home, it's not acceptable, and it doesn't matter who you're playing against. It's not acceptable. So, like, the reality is that couldn't continue for much longer. He needed a reaction. He could have been a gamble to go out publicly. I don't think he was necessarily thinking that. He was saying, look, quite honestly, that's not good enough, and the fans can see there's an honesty to that, and they've responded. The team have responded, and he'll be delighted tonight. But again, we're just probably through the first phase of games, so there's a long way to go. Cork City is still second from the bottom, and the other teams haven't played yet tonight, so the scores aren't in those games. They're still only second from the bottom. There's a long way to go, but again, I have to say, when you win ugly like they did tonight, that gives you a huge resolve going forward, because you can go, all right, even when we're not playing well, even when we're under the cosh. Jonas Hackney was very good in that back. The back four in general were just putting their heads in the right places, and everyone was fighting to win. and that's what will keep you up. It's not the 4 goals against Shamrock Rovers away. That won't happen again. Like, you know what I mean? But 1-0's at home, absolutely. And if they can win 1-0 at home against Dundalk in an ugly match, they can win 1-0 against other teams like that again, and they'll take great pride in that and great, I suppose, confidence for the future.
So you're a happy man?
Very happy.
Neal Horgan, formerly of Cork City, thanks for joining us on the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast.
Thanks very much, Oisin. Thank you.
Right, let's go from Turner's Cross to Weavers Park. Drogheda United taking on St Patrick's Athletic. St Pat's looking for a third victory in a row. Drogheda United looking to back up their 1-0 win in Derry on Friday night. Paul Crowley was there for LOI TV and LMFM, and afterwards sent us this voice note.
O'Shea's all over here at Weavers Park. St Pat's with a 3-1 win, worthy of winners as well on the night. The game started fairly lively in the first half. Pat's taking the lead through a Chris Forrester penalty. Drogheda then came back into the game a little bit, and they got themselves back into the game when Freddie Draper stood up Joe Redmond at the edge of the box. Looked like he had taken him down. Referee said play on, and Dylan Grimes continued to tap the ball into the net to make it 1-1. We spoke about a changing point in the game where Grimes goes in 1-on-1, stands the goalkeeper up. It's 1-1 at this stage. Keeper makes a super save to keep it at 1-1. 5 minutes later, Chris Forrester picks the ball up on the edge of the box. Good touch out of his feet. Shoots by Colin McCabe, who was probably blindsided by a lot of players in front of him. 2-1 it stood at half time. Second half continued then. St Pat's dominant, who I felt would have been looking for the third goal to make the game 3-1 and put them safe. But Drogheda, as they do, stood strong for the whole second half, and just to give themselves that chance, as they have done on plenty of occasions here in Weaver Park. But they just couldn't find that equaliser at the time. St Pat's then later on finished the game off when Colin McCabe played a sloppy back pass out straight to Owen Doyle, who took the ball out of his feet and, as you would expect, comfortably put the ball into the corner of the net to make it 3-1 on the night to St Pat's. Only negative for Pat's tonight was Joe Redmond's injury. Looked like a bad hamstring injury after about 65 minutes in the game, so they'll be disappointed on that front. Obviously the Friday and Monday games just coming too thick and fast for some players. Drogheda again won't be too disappointed on the weekend. All involved, they've got 3 points up in Derry on Friday night, so sits them quite pretty anyway in the league table. Bohemians tonight then, top of the league, 6 points clear. St Pat's put themselves with 4 wins on the bounce, puts them back into contention and puts them back up with Shamrock Rovers. So a comfortable win in the end tonight for St Pat's Athletic. 3-1 winners on the night.
This is the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Shelbourne drew 0-0 with UCD on Friday night. After the game, Damien Duff, their manager, wasn't too impressed. Would he have been more impressed with what he saw last night from his team? Let's find out with Mark Rossiter, who was at the game and afterwards sent us this voice note following Shels' 2-1 victory against Sligo Rovers.
First 10 minutes, Shels all action, came out all guns blazing, probably had a couple of opportunities that didn't manufacture any strikes on McNicholas. You know, good work by Jack Moylan and Matty Smith to work the ball to Tyreek on the left. Looks like he has a clear line of sight from the left-hand side to strike, but tries to play Matty Smith back in. But from then, all of the first half, it was all Sligo. You know, creating chances, you know, stifled anything that Shels would have had or tried to have. And in doing so, done really well. Set pieces, cross came in. Danny Lafferty, I suppose, the big men, Pinecker, Mata and John Mann, taken away from how good Danny Lafferty is in the air from set pieces. Scores his first goal of the season, first goal for Sligo in his first start. Going in at half time on the up and probably the better team for the lion's share of the first half. Second half, you'd be looking at Shane Farrell. To me, looked like he fouled Will Fitzgerald, but in doing so manages to stand up a ball to the back stick. Frank Levac gets caught underneath the ball, and Matty Smith does really well to get the ball out of his feet and finishes high into the roof of the net. McNicholas couldn't do anything, but from then, Shels long ball up. John Mann goes to head it back to the keeper. McNicholas wrong-footed and slips in the process and manages to go in 2-1. And apart from Fabrice Hartman creating a chance for Frank Levac, albeit from the edge of the box, strikes really well across Conor Cairns. He saves really well, good height for him. but that was probably the only chance that they had in the second half. Shels for the last 25 minutes defended so resolutely, nullified anything that Sligo tried to create, and just shut out the game really, really well. Sligo will be disappointed going down the road with not to get at least a point, but Shels defended really, really well. So 2-1 tonight.
Mark Rossiter watching Shels' 2-1 victory against Sligo Rovers for the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. One more game to get to. Shamrock Rovers overcoming UCD by 3-0. Macdara Ferris of extratime.com was there, and afterwards sent us this voice note.
Ominous signs for the rest of the league here on Bank Holiday Monday as Shamrock Rovers ran out 3-0 winners over UCD. Really, it was done with ease. It's 3 wins in a row, 3 clean sheets in a row, and they've scored 9 goals over the Easter period in those 3 matches. And it means they move up to third place in the table and just only a point behind second place Derry City, who obviously lost to table toppers Bohemians earlier in the day. Graham Burke was the man of the match of the night. He got 2 goals. Really should have got a hat-trick. He blazed over from just outside the 6-yard box, just before just around the hour mark. His best chance of making a hat-trick, but he was drawn at that stage. Stephen Bradley made a number of changes just to, I suppose, ease his squad ahead of welcoming Shelbourne to Tallaght Stadium on Friday evening. Rovers were missing a few players with illness. Richie Tell wasn't in the squad again. Gary Neal was only named on the bench, but they have such quality. They were able to bring on Johnny Kenny and Neal Ferrugia, who scored against Bohs at the weekend late in the game, just to rest up some players. It was really all one-way traffic. There was probably just the one chance that UCD had. Like it was a Norris shot that Alan Manus got down to save pretty much with ease, and he kept 3 clean sheets in a row. It's 13 games that UCD have lost in a row against Shamrock Rovers. They've never actually won here in this stadium in a Premier Division game, and with Cork City defeating Dundalk earlier on the day, it means they're 7 points off the relative safety, can I say, of the relegation playoff. They really had very little to offer. They played 5 at the back. They tried to stifle Shamrock Rovers, but the hoops were just too good. Jack Byrne and Graham Burke, who were so good in the 2-0 win in Dennyman Park in the Dublin Derby on Friday, were superb once again. And it was Jack Byrne who got the Rovers' third goal. He had a succession of corners, as we always see in Rovers games. When the ball came back out to him, he whipped a right foot effort in. Really keen. Moore should have done better with it. He ended up just kind of palming it into his own goal. And Rovers looked to add more, but they couldn't add a 4th or a 5th. But really, it was happy days. Graham Burke was the same man of the match. He moved on to 5 goals for the season, and tough times await for Andy Myler's men for the rest of the season. They won't really have been expecting too much from this game, but they'll have been disappointed with their performance. And Shamrock Rovers, as I said, 3 wins in a row, moving up to third in the table. Still 7 points behind table toppers Bohemians, but they'll be very happy with their haul of 3 wins over this Easter week.
That's almost it for the extratime.com League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. Let's just take a quick look at the table. Bohs are top on 21 points. Derry second on 15 points. Shamrock Rovers third on 14 points, but they're winning games again. It looks a bit ominous, doesn't it? St Patrick's Athletic had a few bumps on the road, but 4 good results in a row has them in 4th on 14 points. Shelbourne 5th on 12 points. Sligo Rovers 6th on 12 points. Drogheda United 7th on 12 points. Dundalk 8th on 11 points. Just behind them Cork City on 9 points. And UCD looking adrift already on 2 points, but they do tend to improve as seasons go on, so let's not write them off just yet. On Friday night in the men's Premier Division, Bohemians hosting St Patrick's Athletic, UCD up against Cork City, and Shamrock Rovers taking on Shelbourne. In the First Division, Galway United meet Bray, Waterford take on Kerry, Athlone meet Cove Ramblers, and Finn Harps take on Treaty United. On Saturday in the Premier Division, Sligo Rovers hosting Drogheda United. While in the Women's National League, Galway United take on Shamrock Rovers, Shelbourne play Treaty, DLR Waves meet Sligo, Cork City take on Peamount, and Wexford Youths take on Athlone. Finally on Sunday, Dundalk take on Derry City. That one has been moved because of President Joe Biden's visit to Dundalk. Obviously, the Republic of Ireland play in the USA today / in the early hours of the morning, and there'll be a full preview of that and a review and all that on extratime.com. That's it for myself, Oisin Langan. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye bye.